The alien invasion begins. The sky was clear, and the air was calm. It was an ordinary day for the people of Earth. Children were playing in parks, workers were heading to their jobs, and families were going about their business. The world had been at peace for years, but that all changed in a matter of moments. In the far reaches of space, a massive alien fleet had been silently making its way toward Earth. The ships, sleek and terrifying, cut through the vast emptiness of space, their engines humming with purpose. No one on Earth had any idea that the calm of their day would soon be shattered. It started with a faint signal. At first, it was just a blip on a radar screen, unnoticed by most. But then, the signal grew stronger. And then, there were more signals. Hundreds, thousands. They came from different directions, moving faster than anything Earth's technology had ever seen. At the United Nations headquarters, a few scientists and military officials were the first to realize the enormity of the situation. The signals were too strong to be from any known spacecraft. It was a fleet, a massive fleet, approaching Earth. Panic spread quickly. The news was broadcasted on every channel, and within minutes, the whole world knew. The calm day was gone, replaced by fear. People rushed to their homes, glued to television screens, watching the same horrifying images. The alien fleet was huge, far beyond anything humanity could have imagined. Ships of all sizes filled the sky, blocking out the sun. The largest ship, dark and imposing, was at the center of the fleet. It hovered over Earth like a storm cloud, ready to unleash destruction. Back in the streets, chaos began to erupt. The world had never seen anything like this before. People screamed in fear, running in every direction. The military scrambled to respond, but it was clear that humanity was no match for what was coming. In the midst of all this chaos, a young child named Alex stood outside, gazing up at the sky. The sight of the alien ships was both terrifying and awe-inspiring. Alex had no idea what was going on, but something in their heart told them that Earth was in great danger. They didn't run or scream like everyone else. Instead, they stood still, watching as the massive ships began to position themselves around Earth. The sounds of panic all around them were deafening, but Alex didn't hear them. Their eyes were fixed on the largest alien ship, hovering ominously above the world. It was impossible to imagine what the alien fleet wanted, but one thing was certain: humanity was about to face its greatest challenge. The air felt heavy, like the calm before a storm. The aliens had arrived, and there was no going back. Earth's peaceful existence was over. But no one knew how humanity would respond to the threat. Would they cower in fear, waiting for their destruction? Or would they stand and fight? As the alien fleet settled into place, a chilling silence followed. The world held its breath. Everyone was waiting for the first move, the first sign of aggression. Would the aliens attack? Or were they simply waiting for humanity to make the first move? Alex, though still a child, felt something stir inside them. The world might be trembling in fear, but deep inside, Alex felt a strange sense of calm. They had no weapons, no army, no power to defend against this alien force. Yet there was something in the way the aliens moved that suggested they underestimated humanity. It was as if they had no idea what they were dealing with. In the command centers around the world, officials were scrambling to form a plan. But every attempt to communicate with the alien fleet failed. The aliens were not responding to any form of human contact. It was as if they had already made up their minds. But there was something about the way they moved, the way they hovered above Earth with such authority, that made people wonder, were they truly invincible? Could humanity, the small and relatively young species on this planet, truly stand a chance against such an advanced force? The answer to those questions would not come in the form of military might. No, the answer would come from an unexpected source, one that no one, especially the aliens, would have predicted. As the hours passed, the alien ships began to deploy their forces. Thousands of alien soldiers, suited in terrifying armor, began to descend to Earth. Cities were put on lockdown, and the military tried to prepare, but it was clear that they were outmatched. The alien forces were too advanced. It was only a matter of time before the world would fall into their grasp. But amid the fear and uncertainty, there was a flicker of something else. A small child, standing alone in the midst of it all, seemed to be watching with an intense focus. Their heart was racing, their mind was swirling with thoughts of danger. But deep down, Alex knew one thing: the world wasn't defeated yet. In this moment, as the alien fleet hovered above the Earth and soldiers began to land, something would happen. Something that no one, not even the aliens, could have anticipated. The stage was set. The world was on the brink of war. The question was, how would humanity respond? The first encounter. As the sun began to set, the atmosphere around the world grew heavier with anticipation. The alien forces had landed, establishing their dominance on Earth. The ground trembled under the weight of their heavy machines, and the air was filled with the sound of their eerie mechanical movements. Soldiers in gleaming black armor lined the streets, their alien faces obscured by helmets. They marched in formation, every movement precise and synchronized, like a terrifying machine built for war. Cities around the world were in panic mode. Governments scrambled to organize defenses, but it was clear that Earth's military power was no match for the aliens' overwhelming technology. Across every major city, citizens huddled in fear, peeking through windows as the alien forces approached. It was as if humanity was about to witness its own extinction. But in the midst of the chaos, one young child, Alex, remained standing in the middle of the street. The fear that gripped everyone else seemed to have bypassed them completely. Alex's small hands were clenched into fists, their body tense with determination. They didn't know what to do, but something deep inside told them that this was far from over. As the alien soldiers advanced, the military forces began to regroup. Armies from across the world prepared for what seemed to be an inevitable conflict. Tanks rumbled through the streets, jets soared through the skies, and soldiers stood at attention, weapons in hand. But the aliens did not engage. Instead, they simply watched, their terrifying silence adding to the growing tension. In one of the major cities, a squad of alien soldiers approached a group of terrified civilians huddled together in a building. The civilians cowered in fear, unable to move, their eyes wide with dread. But one soldier, a young girl, felt an overwhelming need to do something, anything, to protect those around her. She couldn't understand why, but something about the situation pushed her forward. Alex was still standing in the middle of the street, unnoticed by the aliens. In a strange way, it felt like the world had frozen around them. The fear, the panic, the chaos, it was all distant. There was only the quiet resolve to act. With the aliens closing in, the girl stepped forward, ignoring the terror in the air. She was not a soldier. She didn't have any weapons or the power of the military behind her. All she had was her courage. It was in that moment that something astonishing happened. The alien soldiers, who had been moving without a single hint of hesitation, suddenly stopped in their tracks. Their armored forms, once cold and impassive, now hesitated. Their leader, a towering figure of dark metal, turned its head toward Alex. The leader's eyes, if eyes were even a part of their design, focused on the child, narrowing in silent judgment. The air around them seemed to shift. It was as if the entire alien force had paused, taking a collective breath. They had seen countless worlds, destroyed civilizations without mercy, but they had never seen humanity respond like this, so unyielding, so defiant in the face of certain doom. The young girl's heart raced, but she didn't step back. Instead, she clenched her fists tighter, standing firm. Her entire being was focused on that moment. She couldn't understand why the aliens had paused, but the uncertainty of their next move filled the air. Behind her, the soldiers of Earth, the brave military men and women, continued to gather their forces. Their weapons, once so carefully calibrated for warfare, seemed small in comparison to the technology the aliens wielded. Yet they did not give up. They would not allow their planet to fall without a fight. The aliens, now frozen in place, began to communicate among themselves. Their voices, low and rumbling, echoed in the minds of the soldiers, as if speaking a language that transcended the need for words. The military personnel listened, trying to understand what was happening. But no one had the answers. Not yet. Alex, with their heart pounding in their chest, looked up at the alien soldiers who now towered over them. They could feel the weight of the situation pressing down on them, but for some reason, they stood taller than they ever had before. It wasn't courage. It wasn't anything Alex could explain. But in that moment, something inside them clicked. They were not afraid. And as the first of the alien soldiers took a slow step forward, the world watched, holding its breath. The question on everyone's mind was the same. What would happen next? Would humanity give in, or would it rise against this alien threat? Would the fear that had gripped the entire world turn into something much greater, a force powerful enough to defy even the might of the most advanced alien empire in the galaxy? The tension was palpable. All eyes were on Alex, the child standing alone, as the alien soldiers began to move once again. And then, without warning, something incredible happened. One of the soldiers, the largest of them all, took a step back, its mechanical head tilting slightly. The others followed suit, retreating, not advancing. For a brief moment, it seemed like the aliens were afraid. Could it be? Could the invincible alien army, so sure of its superiority, be retreating in fear of one single human child? The air crackled with electricity as the first signs of resistance appeared. Humanity's greatest weapon had been activated, not through guns or tanks, but through sheer willpower. The battle for Earth had begun, but the outcome was still uncertain. Would the bravery of one child be enough to change the course of history? Only time would tell. The fear spreads. The alien army's retreat was not a simple tactical maneuver. It wasn't a simple retreat under pressure or a miscalculation. No, something more profound was happening. The soldiers hesitated, as if caught by an invisible force that gripped their minds, making them question everything they thought they knew. Across the battlefield, Alex stood still, her small form barely noticeable against the towering alien soldiers. But the entire alien contingent had halted, their attention fixed on the child who refused to cower. The eerie silence grew heavier, as if even the air was holding its breath. The military commanders, who had watched in horror as the aliens first approached, now found themselves in a strange state of disbelief. How could it be? The alien forces had wiped out entire civilizations without so much as breaking a sweat. Yet here, on this tiny world, they seemed to hesitate. The Earth's military had no answers for this. What is happening? General Harris muttered under his breath, watching the situation unfold. He couldn't understand it. The alien force, which was supposed to be an unstoppable war machine, was now standing at the brink of retreat. It didn't make any sense. Alex didn't understand it either. They felt nothing but a strange calm, a steady pulse of energy flowing from deep within. It was as if a switch had been flipped, and their fear evaporated. Alex had been terrified, like everyone else, at the beginning. But now, standing there in front of the most advanced military force the galaxy had ever seen, Alex didn't feel afraid. Instead, they felt something else, something empowering, something that no alien army could defeat. Behind the child, the soldiers of Earth were still waiting. The world watched, not knowing what would happen next. Would this moment of bravery spark something within the human race? Would the forces of Earth rally, pushed on by the courage of a single child? The tension was building. The soldiers began to exchange confused glances. Could they be witnessing something they didn't fully understand? They had been trained to think of the alien army as invincible. Yet now, it appeared that the real strength was in the most unlikely of places. The alien leader, a towering figure who stood a head taller than the others, moved forward once again. Its mechanical limbs made no sound as it stepped toward Alex. The air crackled with energy, as if the very atmosphere was charged with anticipation. Alex stood their ground, feeling the weight of the moment. The alien leader stopped a few feet away, its towering form blocking out the light of the setting sun. The soldiers behind it remained motionless, their attention solely focused on the child. It was as if the entire galaxy had come to a standstill, with Earth's future hanging in the balance. Human. The alien leader's voice boomed, its voice as cold and mechanical as the armor that encased it. You do not know what you face. The Galactic Empire is beyond your comprehension. Your world will fall, just as all others have. But Alex didn't flinch. They didn't even blink. Something about the alien's words, the cold, threatening tone, didn't faze them. They just stood there, unyielding. The alien leader paused, its robotic eyes narrowing. For a moment, there was a flicker of hesitation in its movements. This was not what they had expected. It was not what they had prepared for. You, the leader continued, are nothing. Your species is weak. You cannot stand against us. Alex's voice broke the silence. We've been told that before, they said, their words clear and steady, despite the overwhelming odds. And we've always fought back. We may be small, but we're not weak. The alien soldiers shifted uneasily, and the leader's head tilted as if studying the child. It was an unusual reaction, one that had never been seen in any other world that the Galactic Empire had conquered. The fear that had begun to ripple through the ranks of the alien forces grew stronger. This human child, with nothing more than courage in words, had struck at the heart of their confidence. In that moment, something shifted within the alien ranks. They had come to Earth believing it would be an easy conquest. They had underestimated humanity, and now they weren't sure how to proceed. They were no longer facing an army of weak humans cowering in fear. They were facing something much more dangerous, a species that could fight, that could endure, and perhaps most terrifying of all, a species that had something to fight for. The child's bravery had sparked something deep within the hearts of the human soldiers behind them. It was a spark, a flicker of hope that had been nearly extinguished. But now it burned bright. Soldiers gripped their weapons tighter, eyes steeled with determination. The alien leader turned to its troops, its voice booming once again. Do not underestimate them. They may be weak in number, but they have a will that we have not encountered before. We must eliminate them before they grow stronger. And so the battle continued to escalate, but now it was no longer about just survival. It was about something much larger. The aliens had underestimated humanity's ability to fight back, but they would soon learn that the strength of human will could not be easily crushed. As the alien forces began to regroup, preparing for a new offensive, the message was clear. The war for Earth had only just begun. And now, humanity had something no alien force could predict: hope. The first clash between the two sides would be a brutal one, but in the heart of the human child, something extraordinary had been awakened. The belief that humanity could not just survive, but triumph. The galaxy was about to witness the power of that belief. The turning point. The sound of the alien forces regrouping echoed in the air. Earth's soldiers braced themselves for the next phase of the battle. The ground trembled beneath their boots as the alien war machines advanced, their metal legs crashing down with each step. But now, the fear that had gripped humanity seemed to be slipping away, replaced by something far stronger: resolve. At the center of it all, Alex stood tall, a beacon of courage in the midst of overwhelming odds. They had no armor, no advanced weaponry, nothing but their unwavering spirit. Yet in that moment, it felt as though Alex was more powerful than any soldier on the battlefield. The alien commander, towering over the human forces, turned its attention back to Alex. The leader had sensed a shift, a dangerous one. The humans were no longer cowering in fear. They had found their courage, and that courage was spreading like wildfire. Your bravery means nothing, the alien leader growled. You are still nothing compared to the power of the Galactic Empire. But Alex's response was clear and unshakable. We've been told that before. Every time. We prove you wrong. The leader's optical sensors narrowed, but there was a flicker of doubt in its movements. This wasn't just about strength anymore. Something had changed in the human resistance, and it wasn't just about Alex, it was about everyone. Behind them, humanity's soldiers began to advance. They had seen the courage of a child, and now they were willing to follow it. They took their positions, weapons at the ready, eyes locked on the alien force that had once seemed invincible. The alien commander barked orders, signaling the troops to advance. But there was a hesitation, an uncertainty that hadn't been there before. The aliens had encountered species that fought back, but none had ever shown the raw, unyielding determination that humans had just displayed. The first wave of alien forces surged forward, their weapons trained on Earth's soldiers. The humans, though outnumbered, held their ground. The battlefield was chaotic, a blur of movement and flashing lights as the two sides collided. But something was different now. The humans fought not just to survive, but to win. Their fear had been replaced by a powerful force, hope. Alex, still at the heart of it all, remained focused. They knew this battle was far from over, but they had sparked something more powerful than any weapon in the galaxy: unity. The soldiers around them fought with renewed strength, knowing that they were not alone. The alien forces were strong, but they were also overconfident. They believed their advanced technology and superior numbers would be enough to crush the humans. But what they didn't account for was the strength of the human will. The Earth soldiers fought like they had nothing to lose, because they didn't. Their families, their homes, their very existence was on the line. As the battle raged on, the aliens found themselves struggling against the human resistance. The Earth forces were relentless, refusing to back down. The alien leader watched in disbelief as its forces began to falter. It had never expected this. The fight had always been easy before, but this time it was different. Alex, their heart racing with adrenaline, felt the weight of the moment. They weren't just standing up for themselves. They were standing up for all of humanity. For every person who had ever feared the invincible alien empire. For every home that could be lost in the chaos of war. The battle reached a fever pitch, the sounds of clashing weapons and exploding energy blasts filling the air. But amid the chaos, one thing became clear: the human spirit could not be broken. The aliens had underestimated that spirit, and now they were paying the price. The alien leader gave another order, but it was too late. The human forces had already rallied, their resolve stronger than ever. The first wave of aliens began to retreat, their machines stumbling as their confidence shattered. The Earth forces, emboldened by their unexpected victory, pushed forward. Alex's voice cut through the battlefield, their words ringing clear and true. "We're not going to let you win." The aliens faltered further, their retreat becoming more frantic. The human forces closed in, their victory within reach. But Alex knew this was only the beginning. The battle was far from over, and the Galactic Empire had more forces to deploy. But something had changed. The aliens had tasted defeat, and it had been delivered by a human child. They now knew that Earth was not a planet to be conquered easily. It was a world that would fight to the bitter end. The message had been sent, loud and clear. Humanity would not fall. The aliens had underestimated them. But now they would see the true strength of Earth's people. They would see what happens when the human spirit is unleashed. The war for Earth had only just begun, and humanity's victory was already on the horizon. The alien retreat. The atmosphere on the battlefield had shifted. What began as a desperate struggle for survival had turned into an organized, relentless counterattack. The alien forces, once confident in their technological superiority, were now reeling. The retreating alien war machines stumbled and faltered, their once imposing power no match for the surge of human determination that had taken root. Alex, standing at the front lines, could hardly believe what was happening. A mere child, armed with nothing but bravery, had sparked this change. Around them, Earth's soldiers were pushing forward with renewed energy, their morale high as they saw the aliens falter for the first time. But the alien leader wasn't one to give up so easily. It had underestimated humanity before, and now it was paying the price. The retreat wasn't just about losing ground. It was a blow to their pride, something the aliens couldn't afford to show. The alien forces began to regroup, but there was a clear hesitation in their movements. The commanding officers barked orders, but the same unshakable confidence that had guided them before was now gone. They were losing. Alex felt a wave of disbelief wash over them. How could this be happening? How could they, just a child, have turned the tide of this battle? The very idea that a single human could stand against an entire empire and make them question their victory was surreal. But it was happening. And in that moment, Alex realized that humanity's strength wasn't just about physical power or advanced technology. It was about unity, bravery, and the unyielding will to fight for their survival. The alien commander, furious but unwilling to show weakness, issued another command. The remaining alien warships fired up their engines, preparing for another offensive. But there was something different now. The human forces were no longer just defending. They were attacking. With relentless precision, they charged, catching the aliens off guard. The alien leader, watching from their command center, felt a flicker of doubt. The humans weren't acting like they were losing. They weren't fighting as if they had something to lose. They were fighting like they had everything to gain. The alien forces, now scattered and disorganized, found themselves retreating further and further. The human soldiers, armed with nothing more than their determination and a sense of unity, had turned the tide. Alex watched as the first alien warships, now disorganized and retreating, started to take off, leaving Earth's atmosphere. They were running. The once invincible alien empire was retreating before humanity's willpower. The child who had sparked this revolution stood tall, knowing that this moment wasn't just a victory for them. It was a victory for everyone. And then the impossible happened. In the distance, a massive alien warship appeared, one that was far larger than anything humanity had ever seen. It loomed over the battlefield, its immense size blocking out the sun for a brief moment. The alien commander had called for reinforcements, but it wasn't enough. The sheer size and might of the ship didn't intimidate the humans anymore. They had seen the Empire's strength, and they had shown that it could be defeated. The human forces didn't falter. They knew they had the advantage now. The alien warship loomed, but it was no longer an imposing figure. It was simply another target. The alien commander's confidence was shaken. For the first time, it was unsure of its next move. The Galactic Empire had underestimated humanity, and now it was paying the price. But the commander wasn't one to surrender so easily. This new warship would bring reinforcements, and it would be their final assault, or so they hoped. Alex, standing tall on the front lines, turned to face their comrades. "We've come this far. We won't back down now." And with those words, the human forces, led by the unlikeliest of heroes, surged forward. The battle had entered its final phase, but one thing was certain. Humanity had proven something that the aliens would never forget. No matter how powerful an empire may be, it could always be brought down by a single act of defiance. And Earth's defiance was unstoppable. The last stand. The final battle was upon them. Humanity had fought valiantly, but now, with the appearance of the massive alien warship, it seemed that the odds were once again stacked against them. The air crackled with tension, and the ground shook as the alien ship loomed overhead. Its weapons systems powered up, and the sound of engines firing filled the atmosphere. This was the Empire's last, desperate move to reclaim control. But Earth's soldiers, led by the unlikeliest of heroes, a child, refused to back down. The small human fleet, bolstered by the determination of every soldier, gathered their strength. It was now or never. The alien forces had shown their true colors, retreating at first, and then attempting to regroup. But the humans had gained the upper hand. The question was, could they keep it? Alex stood at the front lines, face grim and determined. They had seen the impossible happen, but the battle wasn't over. "We got one chance to end this," Alex thought, looking up at the immense alien warship hovering in the sky. "We have to hit them hard, fast, and without hesitation." The commander of the human forces issued the order. The attack would come in waves, using speed and precision to exploit the smallest weaknesses in the alien fleet. There was no room for error. Every ship, every soldier, and every piece of technology would be pushed to its limit. It was all or nothing. On the ground, the alien forces scrambled to regroup, their immense warship ready to fire at a moment's notice. Its cannons were charged, and its defenses were formidable. But humanity's forces were no longer fighting out of fear. They were fighting for something bigger. They were fighting for their home, for their families, and for the future of their species. And most importantly, they were fighting for one simple truth. They were stronger than the aliens had ever imagined. As the first wave of human fighters launched their assault, the alien defenses were overwhelmed by the sheer force of the attack. The alien warship unleashed devastating firepower, but the humans anticipated every move. They used their knowledge of the enemy's tactics, honed through months of fighting, to predict and dodge the alien strikes. It wasn't just technology they had on their side. It was their ability to think on their feet and adapt. The humans had the advantage, and they were using it to full effect. The alien leader, watching the battle unfold from the command deck, began to panic. For the first time in their long existence, they were unsure of their victory. Their forces, so accustomed to domination, were faltering. The humans, who had once been seen as an insignificant species, were now showing the Empire that they were not to be underestimated. Alex's heart raced as they watched the alien warship begin to break apart under the pressure. Human ships, agile and relentless, flew circles around it, launching a barrage of fire that seemed to never stop. It was as if the aliens had never imagined that someone, anyone, could stand up to them and make them bleed. But here they were, retreating once again, their pride shattered. The alien commander's orders came in quick succession, each one more desperate than the last. They were losing. The invincible empire, once so sure of its superiority, was now on the verge of collapse. Humanity's resolve had been too much to handle. The alien warship began to retreat, its engines firing in a last-ditch effort to escape. But humanity didn't allow it to get away. The human fleet, now in full pursuit, followed with determination in their hearts. They had tasted victory, and they were going to make sure the aliens didn't forget this day. "Push forward," the human commander shouted, his voice full of unwavering resolve. "We finish this now." The remaining alien ships, scattered and disorganized, tried to regroup, but it was too late. The human forces, united by a common cause, closed in. The alien warship, now severely damaged, turned to flee, but the humans had already anticipated its escape. With a final volley of laser fire, the massive ship was crippled, its power grid going dark. It had been brought down by the very species it had once laughed at, the very species it thought would cower before its might. The battlefield went silent. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, humanity had emerged victorious. The once unimaginable defeat of the Galactic Empire had happened, and it was all thanks to the strength and courage of humanity, the same strength that had been present from the moment Alex had stood before the alien forces and refused to back down. Alex, still standing at the front lines, looked around. Their hearts swelled with pride. They had done it. Humanity had done it. The alien forces were scattered, their empire in ruins. But the victory wasn't just about the defeat of a powerful foe. It was about the message sent to the rest of the galaxy. The age of humanity had just begun, and the Empire would never forget the day they faced Earth's might. The aftermath of victory. The silence after the battle was overwhelming. The once mighty alien warships were now little more than debris floating in the dark expanse of space. The immense alien empire, which had long terrorized countless planets and civilizations, was broken. For the first time, they had faced an enemy they could not conquer, and the consequences were far-reaching. Back on Earth, the news spread like wildfire. Victory had been achieved. But this was not a victory just for Earth. It was a victory for every species, every civilization that had suffered under the oppression of the Galactic Empire. Humanity had proved that no matter how powerful or invincible an enemy seemed, they could be beaten. The small, seemingly insignificant species from a distant planet had not only survived but triumphed. Alex, now hailed as a hero, stood in the command center of the human fleet. They had done the impossible. The alien forces had underestimated them, thinking that Earth was just another fragile planet to be conquered. But they had learned the hard way that humanity's resolve, bravery, and unity could not be easily broken. "We've won," Alex whispered, their voice filled with disbelief. "But it's not over yet. There was still much work to be done." The Galactic Empire was in disarray, but its remnants were still dangerous. They could regroup, rebuild, and come back with vengeance. Earth could not afford to let its guard down. They had fought for their survival, but now they had to ensure that the threat was truly eradicated. In the wake of the battle, humanity's leaders began to strategize for the future. Earth was no longer just a solitary planet. It had become a symbol of resistance, of hope. But now that they had the attention of the galaxy, they had to decide how to use their newfound power. Would they become the protectors of the galaxy, ensuring that no one else would suffer at the hands of tyrannical empires? Or would they retreat into their own corner of the universe, wary of attracting more enemies? For Alex, the choice was clear. They had seen firsthand the bravery of the human spirit, the strength that could rise up even in the face of certain destruction. Humanity had earned its place in the stars, not through dominance, but through courage, unity, and a refusal to bow to anyone. As the dust settled, Alex's thoughts turned to the future. Earth was safe for now, but they knew that this victory was only the beginning. The galaxy was a vast place, full of unknowns. What else was out there? Who else might be watching, waiting for their moment? But whatever challenges lay ahead, humanity was ready. The Galactic Empire might have thought they could easily crush Earth, but they had underestimated the power of the human spirit. The humans had proven that they were more than just survivors. They were conquerors, protectors, and defenders of freedom. As the final remnants of the alien forces disappeared from the radar, Alex stood tall, knowing that humanity had just begun to leave its mark on the universe. Earth had won its place among the stars, and its story would be told for generations to come. And as for the aliens who had dared to challenge them, they would forever remember the day when humanity, small and seemingly weak, had brought the mighty Galactic Empire to its knees. The galaxy had changed forever, and humanity was at the heart of that change. With courage, determination, and an unbreakable spirit, they had defeated the unbeatable, and they would continue to fight, no matter what came next. The universe was now on notice. Earth was a force to be reckoned with.